How's it going, everybody? Blake here with Rambling Movie Takes, coming at you with a ReWATCH review. I got it right this time. It took me a few times to get that right. A ReWATCH review for Terminator Dark Fate. Alright, so I was really hard on this movie when it first came out. I was not really into it. I remember reading the plot leaks before the movie even came out, and I was frustrated. At least, like the first 5 minutes, because I had heard about what happens, and I was like, man, if this is the case, I'm not even gonna go see the movie. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read that just to see if it's true, and it was true. And to be honest with you, for a minute there, I was like, I'm not going to go see this movie. I'm not going to go see it. I have no interest in seeing Terminator Dark Fate. I don't like what they're doing out of the gate. There's no way they could possibly win me over. Alright? That was my attitude going in. At least initially. But then as time went on, I was like, you know what? Alright, fine. I'll entertain the idea that this can happen and this franchise can still work. And then I saw the movie and I was like, alright, maybe this doesn't work. So that's where I was at after seeing the movie. I was like, okay, this probably isn't going to work. But I still found it to be an enjoyable enough movie in its own right, based on its own merits. I just viewed it as a bad Terminator movie, if that makes any sense. So here's the thing. From this point on, I'm just gonna get into spoilers. I'm just gonna talk spoilers. I'm just gonna talk about this movie, and yeah, we're gonna chill. My cat, the infamous Mo. Alright, so from this point on, I'm just going to get into spoilers. And if you haven't seen the movie, go see it now. Watch it. It's on digital. Check it out. And, come back and watch this video if you want to. And get my thoughts on it. Now, I did an initial review for this movie back when it first came out, and I gave it a positive rating. I enjoyed the movie as itself, I enjoyed the movie based on its own merits, like I said. But again, I was like, it's a bad Terminator movie. So even though I gave it a positive rating, I still couldn't accept the movie as a legitimate sequel to Terminator 2, which is my favorite movie of all time. And I'm very protective over that movie. I'm just not someone that is easy to please when it comes to Terminator films. Because I absolutely, I'll say that I somewhat enjoyed Terminator 3. I could see some good in there, but overall I felt that it was a bad movie. Terminator Salvation, it's fun. It's probably the best of the sequels outside of Terminator 2, at least before this movie. And I don't even want to talk about Genesis. I have to say, and you've heard the soundbite, that Terminator Dark Fate is the best Terminator film since Terminator 2. And some of you hear that and you're like, well, that's not a very high bar. And it's not. I mean, if we're being honest, it's really not. But it doesn't change the fact that it is the best sequel since Terminator 2. Judgment Day. Excuse me. So, I enjoyed this movie. And I do now, after rewatching it, I do accept it as a viable sequel to Terminator 2. I don't agree with every choice that was made. I don't agree with killing off John Connor. I think that was an absolute misfire. They should not have done it. But I think you can accept that. If you can accept that the Terminator story, the first two films anyway, the ones that matter because this is the sequel to those movies. If you can accept that those movies were not just John Connor's story, but also Sarah Connor's story, if you can accept that, if you can accept that maybe, just maybe, we misread the whole thing, and that she really is the center of the story, just like Ripley is at the center of the Alien movies, the Alien franchise. Sarah Connor was the center, or is at the center of the Terminator franchise. I don't have a hard time accepting that. And don't get me wrong, John Connor is a viable part of the franchise. There is no denying that. There is no disputing that. This franchise, John Connor is in the trinity of this franchise, if you will. You know, John Connor, Sarah Connor, the T-800. That is the holy trinity of Terminator. And that's probably a really bad thing to say, but you know. But here's the thing: we've had 3 sequels with John Connor at the forefront, and neither one of them really worked. They really didn't. You know, neither one was successful. Neither one, you know, it didn't work. They did not work. There were 3 chances. 3 strikes, you're out. Let's go in a different direction. Let's focus on another member of the holy trinity of Terminator, Sarah Connor. Let's make her the focal point going forward. And I wouldn't say that she's really the focal point of Terminator Dark Fate, but she's definitely one of them. The focal point is the Danny character. And I will admit, straight up, even though I will defend this movie and say it's not really a bad movie, that it is actually a pretty good movie. You know, I don't like the Danny character. I don't think that she works. But, you know, aside from that, aside from her character, and aside from the way they killed off John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie, I find myself having a hard time not enjoying this movie. I have a change of heart. Like, I enjoyed it the first time I saw it, like I said, but now I actually accept it as a viable sequel to Terminator 2, as a continuation to that story. And the reason I'm able to accept that, the reason I'm able to embrace this movie, is because I'm looking at it through another lens. I'm looking at it through the lens that I assume James Cameron and Tim Miller, who directed this movie, wants us to watch this movie through. And that is the fact that this is, the Terminator story is really Sarah Connor's story. And now she's passing the torch off to Danny for future movies. And, you know, if there were to be sequels to this film, I think Linda Hamilton would most certainly come back, and she would certainly reprise her role as Sarah Connor going forward into the next 2 films. Or at least the next one anyway. But look, we know there's not going to be another, there's not going to be a sequel to this movie. There's no way there can be. Maybe, you know, if enough people take a liking to this movie on, you know, on home video, maybe, you know, they'll continue it in the form of like a series or something, a TV series. But I wouldn't want them to do that. I really wouldn't, because Whereas I feel like this movie does continue the story of Terminator and Terminator 2. I feel like it also kind of books in the story. And at least to a certain degree. And I don't know if I really like the direction that it's going in. Now, I like this movie, but I just don't know if I could get behind the direction that this movie is taking. If that makes any sense. And it may seem like I'm, like I'm reaching to defend this movie. And perhaps I am. I don't feel like I am. But the thing is, I find a lot of good with this movie. Linda Hamilton came back, reprised her role as Sarah Connor, and she was phenomenal. She really was. She was great. I didn't like that she dropped the "I'll be back" line from, that Arnold made famous. I don't like that. I don't like that she... There's a lot of fan service in this movie. It's not just that. There's a lot of other fan service, like when the Grace character says, there's no fate but what we make for ourselves. I'm like, where the fuck did you hear that from? That is from someone else in another timeline. Don't give me that crap. Don't drop that crap in this movie. It doesn't make sense. I cringed when she said that. That's Kyle Reese's line. Forever and ever, forever and always. It may not be that big of a deal to some of you, but to me, like, when I meet that man at the next convention I go to, I will get him to sign whatever I'm getting him to sign with his name, and there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. That is what I'm doing. And that's how much that means to me personally. Anyways, just too much fan service. Too many nods to the first two movies. And I didn't like that Sarah... I didn't like that Sarah Connor called Danny the new John. I thought that was cringy. That really was pretty damn cringe. But yeah, and Arnold was phenomenal in this movie. Arnold is always great. Arnold could be in a piece of shit movie and he's still going to be great because he's Arnold. He's Conan the Barbarian. He's the Commando. He's a T-800. So many iconic roles this man has been in, and he's a legend. I swear, whenever that man finally kicks the bucket, it's going to be a sad day, but whenever he does, they better play the theme song to Terminator 2 at his funeral, because that would be like, oh, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. I'm sorry for even bringing it up. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Oh my God, the thought of that. Oh my God. Okay, anyways, guys, the cast was great in this movie. I thought everybody, played their roles well. I really did not like, I forget her name, Natalie Reyes, I think is her name, that plays the Danny character. I just didn't really like her all that much. I thought she was very attractive. Don't get me wrong, and I hope that I'm not wrong for saying that, but I found her to be very attractive, but I didn't like her character. I didn't think the acting was good. I just didn't like the direction that they're taking that character. And the whole she's the new John thing. If you want to have somebody else come in and be the savior of humanity and all that, handle it a little bit different, I think. And I think it would have been better. I can think of so many ways that this movie could have been better. I can think of so many ways that John Connor would have had a better send-off. I'll get into one. I'll say, what if John Connor, at the beginning of the movie, he was fighting in this future war, even though it's a new timeline, it's a new battle and all that. What if he was fighting and, he ends up getting, killed. And as he's dying, he tells his second in command, Danny, that she's in charge now and that she needs to go back in time. or something like that. I don't know. Like, I think that would have been better. But, look, we know why. We know why. You know, they needed to bring Arnold back somehow. They can't do a Terminator movie without Arnold, apparently. And the thing is, as much as I love Arnold, I don't feel like they needed him for this movie. I really don't think they needed him. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Arnold any chance I get. But he wasn't really needed for this movie. But it is what it is. And like I said, I enjoy this movie for what it is. It is the weakest of the three in what I believe is the true trilogy for Terminator. But it's still an enjoyable movie if you can get past the first 5 minutes. If you can separate yourself, if you can detach from John Connor and I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go crazy. Anyways, if you can detach from John Connor, you can enjoy this movie. I truly believe that. If you can accept that this is as much Sarah Connor's story as it is John Connor's story, you can enjoy this movie. Alright guys, well please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I gotta do something with these cats. They're driving me crazy. The decision I ever made to put cats in my house is biting me in my butt. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I would greatly appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.